Hey, in this video I'm going to walk you through setting up a WordPress website. I'm also going to enable the plugin or the theme Themify, and then I'm going to recommend some plugins that you should get, and I'm going to go through and start setting up the website. I'm going to kind of get you started on it. So I'm going to kind of quickly go through this, but you can always stop and pause and kind of follow along as I go. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the first screen that you see generally if WordPress is not set up. If you're actually getting to a login spot or you're seeing your website information here, then you need to go to your website /wp admin, and then you should see a login area, and hopefully you have your login information. So let's go ahead and continue from here. From here it's going to ask me just some information. I'm just going to put in some basic stuff here. And we'll hurry up and move along here. Actually, I don't want to send that to a real email address because it'll end up sending a welcome email, so we want it to bounce anyway. So okay, so now we're going to log in, and this is what you would see if WordPress was already set up. And you can check remember me if you want. It's up to you. Now we log in. First thing you see is that WordPress needs to be updated. Go ahead and update that. And that's going to take a second, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay, that's done. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Appearances. So I'm going to do this little nifty thing here where you can see where I'm at. I'm going to go to Appearances, and then I'm going to click on Themes here. And you'll see right here, now this is if you're hosting with us. Ultra will be installed on the account, so you'll already have this here. If you're not hosting with us and you're trying to just follow along, you'll probably need to install Themify Ultra, and you'll probably need to get that from Themify. Now that is a premium because I have a developer's license in it. I can install that on our client servers. So if you're hosting with us, I will be able to install it, or it should be installed already. So we're going to go ahead and activate that. And this whole thing is based upon Themify Ultra. So if you're watching this video and you don't have Themify Ultra, then it's not going to help you too much. So let's just go ahead and continue. I'm not going to add any of the files. I'm going to click No. And you can update this if you want. Actually, you're not able to update this. If you need it updated, please contact us, and we'll go ahead and update that for you. You can just submit a ticket or send us an email, and we'll update this for you. I'm going to take care of this right now, and I'm just going to pause it while I do. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly go through this. So over here is the left control panel. This is basically everything that you'll do with WordPress will be done through a lot of this over here. Dashboard, of course, goes to your dashboard. It just kind of shows you some of the main stuff. Posts, there's two different things here. There's posts and there's pages. So a post is more like a blog post, and a page is an actual page that you'll go to. It'll be your home page. It'll be the About Us page. All those are considered pages. So with that in mind, let's go through and we'll go ahead and get started on a few of these things here. Let's go right down here to let's go and we'll add some. Well, let me run through a few of these things and what they are. So media is all your images and anything like that. I believe you can upload PDF files and all kinds of different media files, sound files, and things like that. Mostly what you're going to be worried about is images and things like that. Just to give you an idea, you can also go to Pixabay, and let me show you Pixabay really quickly. Pixabay, and that's pixabay.com. You can go there and you can download all kinds of free images. Say for example I wanted this image. You can see this one says free for commercial use, no attribution required. I can then just go ahead and download it and use it on my website. So the problem is a lot of times images are very big and they need to be compressed. So I'm going to give you a plugin that I recommend so that you can reduce that down. Now understand that some of the images that are shown here on Pixabay are not free, and that you need to do an attribution or something to that that effect, but most of the images that I found are free, and that's great. Anyway, so we're going to go here and let's see. So the images, you want to make sure that they're compressed down and they're as small as you need them. So if you need them to be really big at some time, then you want, if you're going to take up the whole page with a background image, then go ahead and leave them big. But if you're going to reduce them down, then you want them reduced down to smaller. The biggest size that you probably need for your whole entire web page, if you're doing a whole background image, is probably about 2200 pixels wide, and you want about 72 pixels or 72 dpi, and so that's what's recommended. So let's go ahead and move. I'm going to go to pages real quickly. Well, actually, the first thing I want to do is go to posts, and I want to just delete this post right here. And this is just an intro post, and actually all I need to do is just go here and click on trash, and then I could go to trash here and empty the trash. I'm then going to go down and I'm going to go to pages. With posts you can add categories and things like that. And I'm not going to talk too much about posts right now. I will talk about how you make a main post, which is your kind of your archive page, but I'm not going to get into that right at this minute. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the sample page, and you can see right here is what's called the WYSIWYG Editor. It stands for what you see is what you get, and this is a WYSIWYG Editor. Now if I wanted to put pictures on here and different rows and do different things, it gets kind of complicated. And so instead of doing all that, we have what's called the Themify Builder, which is a builder that basically allows you to put in rows and columns. So this row right here I can split up into multiple columns. So if, say for example, I wanted 2 columns here, I could do that. And as I click that, you can see that this split into 2. Now you can see also over here, there's all these. If I click right here, it'll go away. But I basically just click on or hover over that, and these appear. Or I can click right here, and these options appear. So if I wanted to put an image on here, I would just click on that and drag it right over there. Then I would go to the media library, and I'm just going to click right here, and I'm going to click browse, and then I could upload an image and put it on here, and it would put the image in this spot over here. And then let me cancel this, and then I could put some text over here. And you don't want plain text, you actually want the text one. The text one gives you also what's called a WYSIWYG Editor, so you can do different things. Basically, WYSIWYG Editor allows you to put all kinds of information. You can then make things bold. You can make things italic. Excuse me. Now, this doesn't give you a whole lot of options here, and so we can actually install a plugin. That's a great thing about WordPress, is we can install a plugin that allows us to do all kinds of different things that normally WordPress doesn't have. So if we wanted to have more options here to be able to change maybe the font color from here or different things like that, then we'll install a plugin here in just a little bit, and I'll show you how that works. We can style this whole block right here, and we can do that by going up here, and we can even change the whole background. We can change the font. I can change what type of font it is. I can change the font color, the font size, the font height. All that stuff can be changed, and it will change for the whole block, not just for whatever's selected. So that's kind of a cool thing. That's where you could change, like I said, the whole background. If you wanted the background of that area to be a different color, you can change that too. And there's a whole bunch of settings. Feel free to just mess around, play around with it, and when you're ready, then you can kind of release it. But feel free to just kind of play with it and see what works and see what doesn't work and see what you like and what you don't like. Another cool thing is animations. So this has a lot of animations here. You can see there's a whole bunch to where you can have things zoom in and stuff like that, and they can do, they can kind of wobble in or different things. So it's kind of a cool little feature, and it adds some motion and some movement to your web page, which is really cool. So there's all kinds of objects that we can put in here, and I'm just going to show you just a few of them. So we have images, which I already talked about. We can have a gallery, so if we want to have a whole bunch of images. If we want to do a feature, that's kind of a cool thing where you can put an icon off to one side or up on top, and then you could have a block of text underneath that. and it comes all set to do that. You just basically drag it up in here. You choose what you want your text to be, then you choose the layout where you want your icon. You can see this little gray square and the little gray square here. So if we wanted the icon over on the left, then we could choose that, and then we would come down here and we could choose the icon that we wanted. And so I just click that, choose the icon that I want. There's a whole bunch here to choose from. I choose what I want there, and then save it, and it's done. And so it's a pretty cool feature. So there's all these really neat things. You can even add widgets inside here. You can have a testimonial slider. So if you had a bunch of testimonials from different people, you could have those slide through. You could even add a menu here. It's got a whole bunch of really cool things. If you wanted to add a map, you could put that on there. One really cool thing is you can actually design your entire page and then just go through and change things just by clicking Import Layout. And you can see all these layouts right here. And you can just choose one, and then all you need to do is just change it. So let's choose this one just for an example. And I'm going to replace anything that's already existing in there. And so here it is. It's all laid out. Everything is exactly the way we need it. All we need to do, well, not exactly the way we need it, but it's laid out exactly where we want it. And all we need to do now is maybe change some colors, excuse me, or change text and images. So let's just kind of show you what we've got here. So I'm going to save this. And this is currently, well, first thing I want to do is I want to remove this up here, because this is going to go in, it's going to show up on there as well. And so I want to delete that, and I'm going to hit update here. Because I've removed that here, I want to make sure I update this here as well. Okay, so Themify has come in here and it's put this little block in here to let us know that there's content down here, that we shouldn't be changing it up here. However, we can still add content up here, and wherever we place the cursor, either before or after it, is where this content up here is going to be placed. So let me click on this to show you what we're looking at now. I'm going to open it in a new tab. Actually, I right-clicked on it. If I just clicked on it, it would take over this tab here, and I don't want to do that. So here's the page that we just set up. Now you can see right now I've got a sidebar on here, and that's important to note. I'm going to change that too. I'm going to change a few of these things. I'm going to change the header, the way it's laid out. I'm going to change it so it doesn't put the title on right here. And we're going to talk about how to change the menu and fix these things. These things aren't really that necessary, especially if you have a small website. You don't really need the RSS feed, and you don't need a search option. So let's go through and worry about some of those things. I wanted to just kind of quickly go through, show you the page builder. Now you know how to fiddle and make changes to pages. And let me show you in here. We can go in. So here is this text block, and here's a button. So if we go in here, here's the text block that I was just pointing to, and here's that button. And so if I wanted to change those things, see how this says plan, lorem ipsum dolor. So if we go in here and I just hover over this, I click on edit. Whoops, edit. There you can see it says plan, lorem ipsum dolor, and we can say stuff here and hit save, and then I save here as well. The first save was just to save it to this editing page. This is to actually save it to the website. So now I come over here and I refresh the page, and you can see now it says stuff here. So you can see how you can easily go through and change all these things. This whole block is kind of this orangish yellow. If I wanted to change this block right here, I could go into styling, I can go to background, and you can see right here is that yellow, and that's how you would take care of that. So let's move on. Okay, so before we leave this page, I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to call this page home page, and you can see that it's still set to be well, I've got a fake or a temporary domain name in here, but you can see it's set to be the sample page still. That's going to change here in a little bit. And anytime you change anything that's outside of this box, you can't use the save button here. So this box only saves things that are inside this box. Anything outside this box, like the domain name or title or anything like that, then we need to save it right here by clicking on update. Okay, so let's move on. Comments are basically if you have comments enabled on your pages. Let's see if I have comments enabled right here. So right down at the bottom I have, to where you can leave a comment. I don't usually enable those. I usually disable that, and I'm going to show you how to disable that here in just a minute. But for now, this is where you'd go to moderate those comments. So anyway, let's move past Themify, and we'll go to that here in just a minute. Appearance, we've already dabbled it a little bit in this where we went to themes. You can also do customize. I'm going to show you a little bit of that here. But first let's go to widgets. So widgets, if you see right here, we have a sidebar. And this is a sidebar widget. Basically it has search up here. It has all these things right here. I don't need those, but you can see right here on the widgets tab. So I've switched back to the admin area. So right here on the widgets sidebar, or the sidebar widget, you can see we've got the search box, we've got the recent posts. The one thing about this search box is it doesn't have a title on it. It just has a box there. So let's go ahead and put search on there and save, and you can see how it'll change it over here as well. So there it is. Now it says search right there. Okay, so this is the widgets area. This is where you can add widgets to the header. You can add widgets to the footer and things like that. And all you'd do is you'd take these blocks over here and you'd drag them up into these areas, and then that's how you'd put them there. So if we wanted to have, say we wanted to, let's just put a little text block in there. So we'll put some text, and I'm just going to drag this up, and I'm going to put it right up above here, and we're just going to say this is cool, awesome stuff, and we hit save, and then we can close that now. And so you can see I can open and close it. Now if we go over here, all I need to do is just save it that one time, and here it is. This is cool, awesome stuff. Okay, so that's the widgets. Menu is, we're gonna talk about that in just a minute. I want to take care of a few things first. You can install plugins here, and let's go ahead and install a few plugins. So actually, yeah, and so and it should have a few plugins already installed. I'm only showing actually this is not the right area that we want to install the plugins. This is install required plugins, and we don't need to do that. We're going to go to plugins right here. So we're going to kind of skip over some of this other stuff. You don't really need to worry too much about editor. You don't really need to worry about this install plugins. Menus we're going to cover in just a minute. We talked about widgets. Customize we're going to talk about in a minute, and we already showed you themes. So let's go into plugins here. We're going to show you the install plugins. It does come with Akismet and Hello Dolly. I generally delete both of those. There are people that do like to use Akismet, and you're welcome to explore that and try that out. You can see that Akismet says that there is an update available, and if I wanted to use it, I would click on update now, and that would update it. If you're not going to use a plugin, make sure you delete it. It's a good idea to just always be removing plugins if you're not using them. So let's go ahead and remove that, and I can go into bulk action since I have two of them selected, and they're both already deactivated. So they both say activate, and so I can just go ahead and delete them without deactivating them. So normally, if you want to remove a plugin, deactivate it first and then go and delete it. Okay, they're both gone. Now we're going to add new plugins, and we're going to go to the plugin repository where all the plugins are stored. And so this basically went to another website, and it's pulling this information onto our website, and it's given us the option where we can install them. Now, a couple of things about plugins is you want to make sure that the plugin has been installed about 20,000 plus times. The more it's been installed, the more stable it usually is, and so you just want to be careful to make sure. There's a few things you want to check. You want to make sure that there's a lot of active installs. You want to make sure that they have a pretty good review here. You also want to make sure that it's compatible with your version, and that they're keeping it up to date. If it says it's been a year, that's not always that bad it's not that bad that it's been a while. If it works, it works. However, usually if they're a complicated plugin, they probably need to be keeping up with the updates that WordPress is doing. So you want to kind of watch that. And like I said, you want to make sure that they're being updated all the time. Now, anyone can create a plugin and put it on here. I just bumped something there. So you need to be careful because some guy can create this malware plugin, and if you install it, it can go in and do things to your website or create holes for them to be able to come into your website and hack into it and do things. So you just want to make sure that it's one that's been installed a lot, that there's good reviews on it, and all this stuff. And so as long as you do that, things will be great. So let's go and we'll look up a couple of plugins here. I'm going to go TinyMCE Advanced. Let's see if it just comes up here. And it might be one word here. There it is. So I'm going to install this, and so all I have to do is click that and then activate it. And now it's been activated. Let's go back to new. I'm going to install just a couple more. We're going to do WordFence. And this is a great one. It's been done over 1 million times. And this one is basically a firewall for your website. So you want to install this and activate it. Once you activate it, it's going to take us over and kind of start to walk us through a tutorial. We don't need to do that. Okay, and you see that it did pop up here, and it's trying to take us through a tour. We're just going to close that. And then I'm going to go back into Add New again. And a few more that I recommend is WP Fast as Cache. And there it was right there, but now as soon as I started typing more, it went away. There it is. I'm going to install that. And I'm going to activate it. And that appeared right here. Here's WordFence now. So let's go back and add new one more time. And the other one that I recommend is Smush. And there it is. Smush will compress our images. When we're talking about compressing images and making sure they're small enough, this is the plugin that I recommend for that. So we go ahead and activate that. So remember, install and then activate. And just click on Get Started on this, and then it's ready to go. Okay, we're going to move along from plugins. We're going to go to users. Users, if you want to add more users to your WordPress administration area. Say you want to hire somebody to just come in and create blog posts or something like that, you can create a user account for them to do that here. So I'm not going to cover too much about that. And then tools, there's just import and export, and there's a few other things you can kind of explore that. Settings, I want to cover basically everything here in settings. So in settings, you go to general, and you can see we've got our site title. Generally, I remove the tagline. And then I go, so this is where you would change your domain name. So if I did make this an actual website, and right now I'm on a temporary URL, I could change that right here. Even if I had a secure certificate on here, I would make sure that I changed it here as well to do that. Here's where you change your default email address and some other things. Not going to worry about any of that, but I do want to update that I removed the tagline, and I'm going to save changes now. Now the reason I removed the tagline is because I'm going to put that on the logo, or if I create a logo and put that on here, I don't want it to have a tagline, or I want to have the tagline on the logo so everything's nicely lined up and all that, and I don't have to worry about it. Also, if I don't remove the tagline here, then it could appear in searches and things like that, and I don't want it to say just another WordPress website. If you want to find something interesting, go to Google and search for the term just another WordPress website, and you'll find millions of websites out there that still have that in there. So next, let's take a look at writing. So you noticed after I made that change, I did go down and save. So not too much I'm going to do here actually in writing. In reading, I do want to make a few changes. So right here, remember I changed that page to say home page. Well, now we need to tell it, and when I showed you the URL, it had said /sample page. Well, now we need to tell WordPress that home page is our actual home page, and that if somebody goes to our domain name, they shouldn't have to put in /sample URL or /sample page or whatever it was. We want them to actually come here, just put in our domain name, and show them that home page. So how we do that is we say our page is our front page is a static page, and the front page is going to be home page. And we can change this here in just a little bit. I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. So hit save, and now if we just go to, instead of this, I can actually just remove that, and boom, here we are at our home page. Okay, next discussion. The only thing I like to do here is I generally don't have comments enabled, but I usually just remove show avatars. The avatars are used for comments, but I usually disable them. I've had problems before where like if you leave enabled gravatar or anything like that, then it kind of does a third-party website lookup, and it can kind of slow your website down a little bit. Media, this is where you can go and you can set some parameters for your media. When you upload an image, it can upload it to 3 different sizes and things like that, and you can kind of adjust those here. Permalinks is an important one because you don't want your website to be whatever.com/?p=123 or the date. You want to give a good SEO, search engine optimized URL, and so you want it to be post name, and that's very important. So have it be post name, and then go ahead and save changes. That way I can create a good URL like mydomain.com/giant fuzzy teddy bear or whatever, instead of, so Google, if I'm selling fuzzy teddy bears, then Google's going to like that I have that keyword in my URL rather than mydomainname.com/?p=123. So make sure you change that to post name. TinyMCE Advanced, this is where this is one of the plugins that we installed. This enables us on the WYSIWYG Editor to have more features on there, so now you'll see that it has more. If we want any of these, then we can drag these up here and put those on as well, but what's now on there is going to be great for us. WordFence, you'll want to make sure you go into WordFence and enable that, and same with WP Fastest Cache. You just go through and enable that. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you really quickly the general settings that I do. Usually I enable. I then go through and say clear cache, okay, and this is new posts, update posts, okay. Minify HTML, minify CSS. I don't combine either of those. I do a gzip, and I do browser caching and submit. That's how fast it is. This will take about a second to maybe 2 seconds off of your load time on your website, so it's a great recommendation. And so now let's go back up to Themify Ultra, and we're going to go through and we're going to make your web page look better. So what I'm going to take care of here is I'm going to change the header. I'm going to remove this sidebar, and I'm going to remove the title here. And let's go do that. So we're going to go to Themify Header, and I'm just going to go to Themify Settings. In the general settings here, you can see this is where we can add a fav icon. A fav icon is, if you look up on your browser, you see your tabs that are open, and off on the left of the tab that's open, generally it has a little icon there, and it's just a little square, and it's very tiny, but you can upload one here. That's where you'd upload it. If you do things like Google Analytics and you want to put some code into your website, so if you want to track your website stats, you want to track all the users on there, you can use a program called Google Analytics made by Google, and you'll go and you'll register and you'll put in the information about your website, and then it'll say, okay, here's some code that you need to put on your website. So here's a great place to put that code. This puts it above the head tag of the code, which is where they want it. If you're get some code from something else and they say put it just before the closing body tag, then that's where you'd put it right here. So Themify gives you some great spots to do things like that. Anytime you make any changes on any one of these tabs right here, then you want to make sure you save the changes. Okay, now we'll go to default layout. So here is our default layout. This is for the individual pages, and you see how it has the sidebar is right here. Here's the sidebar. I'm going to remove the sidebar on. So this right here is the archive page. This is for all the posts. So if you do have a blog and you want to, let's go ahead and cover that right now. So if you have a blog page, and let's go through and we'll create a blog page right now. So this is the archive blog page. I'm going to click on Add New to add a new page. And I'm going to give the page a name. I'm just going to call it blog, and then I'm going to leave everything else blank, and I'm going to publish it. That's all I'm going to do. So now I have this page. It's called blog. Now I'm going to go back down to settings, and I'm going to go to reading right here, and now I'm going to say that my blog post page is now this one, blog, the one that I just made. That's all I need to do. It's going to automatically fill that in for me. So as I write blog posts now, those blog posts are going to show up on that blog page for me. So that's all I need to do there. So let's go back in here, and I'm going to show you how we can affect that blog post page now. And so we go into settings again, and we'll go to default layout. And so on the main page, the blog page, let's refresh this so we can see that. So here's the blog page. You can see that there's nothing here because we did remove that Hello World play page. But you can see we have the sidebar here. If we wanted to remove that, we could choose this option. Generally on the archive page, I leave the sidebar on there, but I clean up the sidebar a little bit. There's some other settings of how you want your blog post to be laid out. If you want each post to be have the whole blog post there, then you can leave it at full content. So then if you want to just show an excerpt, you can just choose excerpt, and then it'll just show a small excerpt of each blog post, and then the person can click on the title and view the entire post. And this is the word that it'll show. If you do an excerpt, it'll say more, and they can click on that, or you can have read more, or whatever you want it to say there. So that's that. You can also, now I would recommend, if you don't do a lot of posts, that you hide the author, especially if you're doing it while you're logged in as admin, because it's going to show that the author was admin. And so you probably want to change that. Or like I said, you can just hide it, and you can hide the categories too, unless you're going to have a whole bunch of categories. I would just hide categories, and you can kind of go through and set up each one of these. This is for the single post. So when they have you're showing the excerpt and they want to read the whole thing, then they go to the single post page. And on the single post page, I usually do no sidebar on there, and especially on the default page layout. So this is the page layout. So here's all the other options for the single post that you can go through and choose. You can kind of fiddle with each one of these settings and see where it works best for you. I also usually disable comments on all posts, and I usually disable all comments on all pages. So when we're talking about pages, we're talking about the home page, the About Us page, the Contact Us page, whatever page you have. So this page, not this page here, but this page. So if we want to remove the sidebar, and we want to remove comments, and we want to hide the title up here so it doesn't show as well. And so we're going to do that by going no sidebar, and I'm going to do hide title. Yes, we're hiding the title. Don't really worry about the featured image, but I'm also disabling comments. And so if we click save there, now we'll go back and we'll, one other thing I want to do, since I have WP Fastest Cache enabled, I need to clear the cache now to make sure that it didn't cache this page. So now let's refresh the page, and we should see the sidebar disappear. Sidebar's gone now, and there's no more option to put comments on here. And you can also see that that title thing that said home right here is also gone. So pretty cool, and you can see that this has all these effects still enabled. It's nicely set up for us. Okay, so let's go on to a few more settings. Portfolio page is great for businesses that are going to have a whole bunch of images and things like that. So if you're a photographer or something like that, you'll want to go through and fiddle with these portfolios. I'm not going to spend too much time on that right now. Theme settings, this is where we're going to really make the theme look better, and we're going to change up how things look. We're going to change this right here, and let's go ahead and get started. So this is the first part, is responsiveness. That's for mobile. So if we want it to snap into the tablet mode, we want to set that here. Here's where we'd set where that how many pixels wide it does that at. Same with mobile. So anyway, these, I really don't mess with these too much. I like them the way they are. We're not going to worry about this or this. We're going to go right down to theme appearance. Now, if you want, you can use one of these default colors. I'm not going to use one of these default colors. I'm going to choose my own color, and I'm going to show you in a minute where you do that. But for now, if you want to use one of these colors, go for it. The default typography, usually you just do, a regular typography, but if you want to force it to be upper and lower, actually this is the type of font it is. So if you want to choose that, sorry, I was thinking of something else. If you wanted to choose that, you can. I usually just leave that as default. So right now, this is our header that we have, which is just a big header, and it has the logo, and it has the menu on it. So let's go ahead and we're going to change that to, let's do a smaller one. We're going to go with, this one's kind of neat. This one is a magazine header is what it's actually considered. And I'm just going to scroll down the bottom really quick and we'll save changes and just to show you what that does. And so now we load it and here it is. And you can't really see it because of this bar right here, but maybe it's not there right now. Maybe I have to enable it, but there's usually another bar right on top. And so let's, and I even want to change that. I don't want that to be the header that I want to use. So let's use just this plain header, which is pretty similar to that one. Actually, let's use, let's use this one right here. And I'm going to, now you could see here also that the header stays put. That's called a sticky header. And so you can disable that if you don't like it. You can disable the shrinking of the logo when this happens. It shrinks the logo. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna disable that. I'm going to go ahead and exclude the tagline here anyway, even though I've already erased it. I'm also going to exclude the search form, and I'm going to exclude the RSS link. That is these two things right here. So I'm going to exclude those. And we're good here. I don't really worry too much about the header widgets, so let's go ahead and exclude those. Now, they don't really fall into place very good. So I'm just going to say that. So don't expect to have those widgets fit in here very well. And if you add them, it's actually, they're going to be hidden down below, and it'll put a little menu thing here to where you open it up and it'll put those down here. So I don't like to use them. I don't think they're very practical. So I'm just going to leave those. I'm just going to exclude those. So as far as the footer widgets go, this is the layout that you can do for the footer widgets. And then we can exclude the logo down below. We can exclude, it has, so here's the footer. This is the footer right here, this gray area. So you can see it's got a few things here. It's got powered by, it's got the this trademark thing here. It has what would be our logo here, and then it has a return to the top. So if I click that, it takes me back up to the top. Kind of cool. If you don't like it, you can remove it, or you can use a floating back to the top. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Well, I'm going to use a floating back to the top, and then I'm going to leave the footer widgets like that, and then I'll show you a few more things here. I'm going to scroll past some of these other settings. You can go through and read these and set them the way you want. So in this one right here is the hidden information. It doesn't show in there, but that's this one. The first one is this, and the second one is this right here. So if I do want this to still appear, then I would just leave this blank, and if I don't want the powered by, then I would just hide that, or I could replace it with something else. Now if I hit save, let's take a look. So first let's start up at the top, and so I'm going to refresh now. And so here's our new layout. You can see those two things are hidden now. And as we scroll down, you can see here's the return to top. It's a floating one now, so it's no longer right here. And you can see that that other line here that was powered by is gone as well. And so that's one of the main areas that you want to go to is the theme settings. Now those widgets, I remember I showed you those widgets, so if I wanted to put some menus or something down here, then I could do that by going into the widget area and changing those. Image script, I'm not going to worry too much about that. Social links, I do recommend that you go through and you put your social links in, and then you put those probably on the footer, put those in one of the footer widgets. So after you add your link to Twitter and all that, then you'll basically go into the widgets area, and you'll see it'll say footer, and you'll drag over the social over into the footer there. Themify Builder, don't need to worry about that. Twitter settings, I'm not going to worry about that. If you're a local business and you're going to have a map on your website, you'll want to make sure that you click on this link right here, and you go and generate an API key, and it'll give you this long string key, and you want to put that in right here. Hook content, we're not going to get into that. That's a little bit more complicated. Role access, we don't need to talk too much about that. Custom icons, I think we're pretty good there. Some of these other things are pretty advanced. I just kind of want to show you the basics in this video. The next thing we're going to cover is we're going to really customize it even some more. Now, remember how I said that I was going to pick some of the layout colors and things like that? Well, here's where you do that, and here's where we add our logo too, which you might be waiting to find out. So I'm going to go into right here, it's into customize. And you can also get there from the appearance area. There's another option inside of appearance that says customize, takes you to the same place. You can see there's two tabs right here. One is basic, one is advanced. Let's go ahead and choose advanced. Advanced just has a few more options on it. It kind of shows us what's going on over here. However, always on the main area in the body of the web page, it puts it in gray. I don't know why it does that in here. You can see it's all gray now, but don't worry too much about this, and don't worry too much about how this looks in this preview area for now. But it's just kind of giving you an idea of how things could look. So right here we can actually change our body background color. We can change many things. We can change our font. We could choose a bunch of Google fonts that are available. So here's the web safe. Oops, it never likes it when I scroll like that. Yep. So here are the web safe fonts right up here at the top. But then here's all these Google fonts that you can use, and you can see as I hover over them, they give a little preview of what they look like. You don't want anything too crazy though. I think usually ones that I like to use is this one here. You could choose your default font size and things like that. There's some default things here you can change. You can change your link color. So right now, I don't know what the default link color is. It might be red or something like that. So we can change that if we want. Right now, you can't see the menu because it shrunk it down too small. I've actually shrunk my browser down a little bit to make a smaller video, so the video is not as huge as my browser or my screen is. But you can change the menu items as well. So you can see right now our menu is black and red. So we're going to change that here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to close this one up so it's not too confusing here. And you can see there's all these options. And I'm going to main navigation first. And I can now change, and I can change the color. I believe it's menu link. And I can change this to whatever color I want. I can, hopefully you've got some colors picked out for your website already, and you'd want to pull those off of maybe off your logo that you have. Hopefully you have a logo that you can use, and your logo is nice and small. You want to have a PNG type logo, so your logo should end with .png, and you want it to have a transparent background. That's the best I could recommend for you, because you can see right here, this is a transparent background. This header is, and so you don't want your logo to be this big white block right here, and so that's what I recommend. So now I can say, well, here's my regular color for my menu links, but if I do a hover, let me click on this, I want the color to go maybe a little darker. And so I'm going to make that a little darker. And so I'm going to copy that color now, and I'm going to go down here, and when it's active I want it to be a little darker as well. Excuse me. When it's active and I hover, I also want it to be the same font or the same color. And you can choose all the drop downs as well. And up here is where we'll go ahead and close this one up now. And right here is where you add your logo, and you can change you can fix your tagline information and stuff too. So we've got our site logo, and right now it's a text, or it's just a title. So we can change what we want it to say right here. I wouldn't, I'd recommend actually making a logo. You can even go to Fiverr.com and have a logo made. It's probably not going to cost you $5. You'll probably have to pay maybe $20 for it. Make sure you specify, or make sure you look and see that they'll give it to you in a PNG form on a transparent background. And then what you do is you click on logo here, you click on this. That takes you to where you can select files from your computer, and you can upload the logo here and put it in up here, and then you can force it to be a certain width and a certain height. So this is width, this is height. You can just force it to say, well, I want it to be 400. That's going to be a pretty good size one. I would actually recommend going around 350, maybe 325, and then you leave this one blank, and then that way it'll self-adjust. So if you forced it to be, if you said 325 by this, then it might be kind of shaped weird or something. So you just want to change just the one, not both of them. And then you can change the position a little bit here. This is relative position. You can move it up or down or whatever. You might want to fiddle with these and kind of make sure everything looks the way you want it to look. And we can even then go through, and one more thing I want to show you in this area is you can also adjust your header color. So if I wanted to change the header color, I could change the whole header. I could change the whole footer color. And then of course I'd want to make sure my colors for my menu look good, and my colors for my logo doesn't clash with that background as well. But you can definitely change the header colors, and you can add a background to it, or you can change the color right here of the header. So if I change that, it's not showing. Oh, there it is. Now it's showing. But see, this is the fixed sticky header. So you can see right here it's red. But if I go up here, I can change it to be maybe yellow when it's sticky. So pretty ugly, but you get the idea that you can change those things. You can also change the footer. You have some accent colors that are on your website. Now when you change the accent colors on in here, it kind of has a little bit of a conflict. It's called accent styling right here. And when you do that, it kind of has a conflict with the header, and it's not really correct. But if I change this to more of a blue, sometimes it'll change up here, and that's not the case. Well, it changed this right here. Anyway, so you know, you can kind of just go through and fiddle with all these different settings and see what you like best. And then when you're done with all this, of course hit save. And now let's see how pretty all this looks. Yep, it looks really nice and pretty. You can see here's my colors, and you can see when I hover over them it changes. Of course this is a little bit small, so I might want to make those bigger, and you can do that in that area as well. So let's see, there's a few other things that I want to make sure I I showed you. Once I've saved it, I can click on this X, and clicking on that X takes me back to this spot here. If you don't see your things update after you've made changes there, make sure you clear your cache right here, and then that should help you see them. So let me see, I'm going to pause it for just a minute and review and make sure I've told you everything I wanted to tell you. Okay, one of the things I wanted to make sure I showed you was the menus. So let's go ahead and talk about menus really quickly. So the menus are really cool. First thing you want to do is you want to create a main menu, and you just want to give it a name, and then you hit create. And then from there you can drag, or you can click on these and add these to it. And when you have them, you can drag them around to where you want them. So, you know, I can do something like that. So right now, it was just throwing them on there because I didn't have a menu chosen. And so now that I've made a menu, the other thing I need to do is I need to make sure that it knows that this is the main navigation, so that it's going to change it up there. So as I hit save changes or whatever, I clicked on save menu, you'll see that these will swap places now because I've changed them. So there it is. I don't know how well you can see that with these colors, but anyway. So let me show you a few other things here. We can actually put menu posts. So if I had some posts in here, I would be able to put them over here as well. I can even do categories and things like that. But also if you wanted to do an exterior link, you could do it like this as well. So let's do Google. And I'm going to put the text that I want in here, Google, and I'm going to click on add. And there it is. So say I wanted to have a drop down that had search engines, so I can do something like this, and I'm going to put a pound sign in there, the hashtag sign in there, and that just basically tells the browser you're not going to go anywhere when somebody clicks on you. So it's kind of a fake link. And I'm going to do search engines, then I'm going to add to menu, and then I'm going to do Bing right here. And I'm going to put Bing for the name, and I'm going to add that. So now what I want to do is I want to drag these down underneath here, and you can see as I drag them, it tries to put a little outline of where I want it to be. Where I want it to be underneath search engines. So I'm going to move it over to the right a little bit, and that puts it in so that it is underneath search engines. If I wanted this to be underneath Google, then I can do it this way. And let me show you what that does here. Let's save the changes, and I'm going to go over here, refresh this. And here's search engines. You can see as I hover over this, it shows me search engines, but then when I hover over Google, it shows me Bing too. So that's because Bing is nested underneath Google. So if I move that over, hit save changes, now we'll see both of them underneath search engines. And there they are. They're both there. One more cool thing I want to show you about these menus is if you open them up, you can see with Themify you can add icons to them. So we could go in here and we could say home, and here's home icon, and I could actually even just remove that, and I can hit save, and then if I refresh this, you can't see it. Oh, maybe it won't do it if you have the words removed. Oh, somehow I removed it. Let's add that back again. Try that one more time. And I thought I've done that before where I've just done just the icon, but let me home. Okay, now no label. We're going to save. No, it doesn't like to have it without the label there. So let's try one more thing. You probably could put a space in there, which would be NBSP, and then there would be just a space. And let's see if that works. If that doesn't work, then oh, there it is. So now we've got just a little home icon there, and I want to move that back up to the front. And so you could have, you know, just a little home icon for the home page, or you can actually even do it like this, where, well, it even removed it now. I guess I could have just done a regular space. Looked like that was just a regular space there. Save that now, and then you can see where you can add icons to each one of your menu items and things like that. Anyway, so that's a general overview of how you create a web page with WordPress and with the Themify Ultra theme. If you have any questions, be sure to let us know. If you're on YouTube and you're seeing this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to us, and we'll show you some other great videos. Thanks.